Oh my god, I just woke up. Okay, so one of the main reasons or one of the main fears computers users have is getting a computer virus, amongst things like getting hacked and losing their passwords. Also, my fear right now is that this shirt will come through as transparent because it has green in it and I have to key it out. But let's see how we can secure our computer first. Before we begin, please take a moment to say hi, hello, or present. It's sort of like a roll call in the class. That way I know you're present and you're interested in this type of content in the comments below. Thank you so much, and let's get back to the video. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Irvin, also known as Kobo Man. Today's video we're going to learn how to secure our computer without using any antivirus software. So the main reason why computers, specifically Windows operating systems, get viruses to begin with is because their local profile being used is administrator profile, meaning that it has full administrator privileges to make full changes to anything that's on your computer. So when you get a virus, you are already logged in as administrator with full rights to make any changes to computer, and that's when stuff happens and it breaks your computer. So what am I talking about here? Let's look at the task manager real quick. So every time you execute something, there's something happening in the background. For it to actually happen, you need administrative privileges to do so. And if you're under administrator login, you will not be asked for a password. You would not get a prompt necessarily either. You would just simply proceed to install everything and anything. So all of these things that are running in the background, like for example, this anti-malware service executable, which is Windows built-in antivirus, is running with full administrator privileges, meaning that it can make any changes it wants to. And you can see it's using CPU and memory and disk usage just actively. So the main issue with current antivirus software is that it's connected to the outside. So what I had actually before installed and I used for many years and I didn't necessarily have any problems using was a software called ImmuNet, and it's fine. I used it for a long time and it was very low load light, meaning that it wasn't really using too much processing power. Like you can see here, it really wasn't using much processing power, and that was fine for me. And what it was doing was scanning all the files that I have, mostly stuff that's being installed from any software to things that are being downloaded through the internet. So if I, for example, go to immunet.com, here it's going to scan any cookies that are being downloaded, which is fine. That means it's very low impacting and it's just kind of doing its thing. And that's how the Windows Defender also functions, which is Windows operating system anti-malware or antivirus built-in system that's in here. So and that's fine. That's pretty much all you need. The biggest issue with these antivirus software is that it's connected online and you give it also full privileges to do the things that it does. So in order for it to function properly, you have to give it administrator privileges all the time, and then you're trusting this third company or a third party software company to make any changes, and it needs that in order to remove any viruses that it comes through. And it will scan for known threats. For example, here if we look at their website, it says here that it has 33 million known threats. So it's going to scan for all of these things that are already known. But if it's a what they call a 0-day malware or a 0-day virus, meaning has been 0 days, that means nobody has seen it. It's a brand new virus. It's doing its own executable that runs in the background, and if you get it, there's no way to stop it because it wouldn't be in the list of these 33 million ones. And again, I've used ImmuNet for many years and it was fine because it was just scanning for known threats in the background and I didn't have any problems with it. By the way, ImmuNet is owned by Cisco, so I trusted it for many years. But you can simply remove this, and you don't have to, because this one is, again, all it does is just scans software, scans any files that are on your computer being downloaded or installed. It is, however, connected to the internet, and you can see that it's cloud-based. here you can see that there are over 2 million people using this one, for example. But you could say the same thing about any other software that is antivirus or anti-malware, even Windows Defender itself. So let's look at the Windows Defender. You can see that there are some settings in here that we can look at. We got scan options. This is just all regular stuff. And if we click on it, manage settings, you can see that there's real-time protection. That means it's in real time. It's scanning your system for any threats. And we've seen this earlier when I showed you that it's running. It's right here. You can see that it's occasionally running, and most of the time it's fine. Although I've seen this thing be very heavy or very taxing on your system, meaning it can use up a lot of CPU and RAM at times. It just depends what's going on. And admittedly, it's been a while since I've seen that type of issue, and usually happens on a slower computer. I haven't seen that issue with anti-malware, Windows Defender anti-malware or antivirus or whatever they want to call it, and it's fine because it kind of functions similarly to ImmuNet, where it just kind of scans for known viruses. You can see right there that it's using 0.1% of your CPU, of your total CPU available. So, and then you can see here that its cloud delivery protection provides increased and faster protection with access to the latest protection data in the cloud. That means it's just kind of like ImmuNet. It's connected to the internet or to the servers that they have. Same thing as ImmuNet and all of the other, I would assume all of the other antivirus software providers, in which it constantly updates and downloads the most current data on known viruses. And again, that's fine. But then here's this thing, automatically sample submissions. That means it's also sending data to them. So it's not just downloading. And you can opt out of this, which is what we're going to do. And here's what happens. I'm logged in as administrator, and it's not asking me for a password. It's not asking me anything. Why? Because I'm already logged in as administrator. And so I don't want any of this, my data, to be leaked out. And that's the big problem with these third-party or even Windows I have antivirus software that is connected to God knows where, and your data is being sent. So you're kind of opening up yourself for that. So if Windows Defender gets hacked, if ImmuNet gets hacked, or if McAfee or whatever it is, Panda, whatever it is that you're using gets hacked, chances are they'll have a way into your computer through their software. So you can see that I don't have anything right now removed. So I'm going to leave Windows Defender turned on, because you got to have something locally, at least something locally to scan, and that's fine. But then again, you saw me turn off sending the automatic sample submissions to them. So I'm going to leave that off, at least that's a part of it. So this way, all I'm doing is just downloading the most current data from them rather than sending them anything. Okay, so at least I have local protection of scanning for local issues, and I'm not necessarily connected to them, as far as I know. I'm not a programmer, so I'm not going to get into that. So how do we change it so that our account is no longer administrator? This is the safest way to protect your computer when it comes to allowing any virus to do any changes on your computer. So there are a few different ways of getting to your account. You can just simply, type in, if it's easier for you to find it, just go into the search box here and just type in account, and it's going to come up with manage your account, right? That's the first thing. Or you can just type in manage your account. There are different ways of getting to whatever is easier for you. And here it is. It's right here. It says this is the login for my computer, and it says local account administrator, right? That's a problem. So we got to make changes. So how do we make changes? Well, we can sign in with a Microsoft account instead. Well, then again, I'm required to be connected to the internet. Well, not necessarily. It would still probably let me sign in, because it's kind of both, as in local and Microsoft. All it does is, it connects to the Microsoft account and syncs everything, blah, 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 blah. So that's not what I want. I want to create a local account that is just a standard account. So let's click here where it says family and other settings to see what else we can see here. And then we get an option to add someone else to the PC. And we are going to do that because we need to create a secondary account that does have administrator privileges. So that way, once we get that second one, we can make this one the standard and keep the other one as administrator and create a strong password for that. So that way we're not logged in as this one. We're going to have an administrator account. So you got to have an administrator account in the background. You just don't need to use it all the time, only when you need to install something or make changes to the computer. So we're going to create another one, another administrator account, and once we create that another administrator account and create a strong password for it, we're going to change this one to standard. But it's not as easy as it seems, and it can be confusing and difficult on how to do this. So let's go back to family and other users. We're going to click add someone else, and here it's going to ask us to create another Microsoft account, which we don't want. We just want a regular one. So I'm going to click I don't have this person's sign information. This is going to get us to a point where we can create a local account. So we're going to click on that. And then here it is. It persists on creating Microsoft account. I'm not happy with this, but what can I do? We're just going to keep ignoring it, and we're just going to click on this where it says add a user without a Microsoft account. So we're going to click on that. And here we are, finally. So we're going to call it, I don't know, Big Power. How's that? And then we're going to make something, we're going to make a strong password that's going to be very hard to remember. So it's a combination of letters, numbers, special characters, and capital letters. So make sure you use something like that. Don't use like a banana 123 or I don't know, password 123 or some simple. Don't do that because this is very important and you don't want to get hacked. And then in case you forget your password, you can change this to whatever. I don't know. What is your first pet's name? I don't know. We're just going to say Bob. I don't know. We're just going to make this up. I don't know. City you were born. I don't know. Let's say New York. Why not? And you just fill this out to whatever your, whatever your preferences are. What is the first name of your oldest cousin? I don't know. Larry, sure. Why not? So these are all just things that you can do in case you forget your password, right? You can put in your secure question and then just log in case you forget your password. So here's our new account, and it says Big Power. We're just going to click on that, and we're going to click Change Account Type. Now it's by default. See, it's kind of weird. By default, it's standard user, but whenever you create account initially, it's administrator user. So I'm not a big fan of that. We're gonna make this one administrator, and then we're gonna change the other one to standard. So we're gonna click OK here. So now we have a Big Power administrator local account that requires a strong password to make any changes. Okay, now we gotta go back and change the other one to a standard. We can certainly try that, but let's go to user accounts, local user accounts locally first. So we're going to go to Control Panel. We're going to open up Control Panel, and then we're going to click on User Accounts here. And then from here, we can click Change Account Type. So let's see if it allows us to do that. All right. So here's Kobuman. Here's a Big Power. Since we're going to be logged in as Kobuman, we're going to change this one to Standard User. Hopefully, it's going to let us do this. Change the account type, Standard, change the account type. All right. Standard account, saved. All right, let's close this here. Let's open up Control Panel one more time to see if it's going to let us change it back now that we changed it to the standard to administrator again. And now it just says a local account, right? It doesn't even say standard. And this is a big issue here where you have to be careful whenever you're doing this. And I'll show you why. Because if you just do this, chances are your account will not come up as an option whenever you log off your computer. You won't be able to see Kobuman, and chances are you won't be able to even type in. And I'll show you exactly why. It's very important to know, and it's hard to kind of figure out sometimes. So let's see. Can I change the account type again? Administrator, change account. Wow. So I still have administrator privileges. Well, why is that? Maybe we need to log off and log back in. Let's do that. All right, so we went ahead and did a reboot after we changed the account type. All right, let's see if we can make changes. We're going to right click here and I'm going to just run as an administrator. And here it is. It's asking us to use Windows administrator privileges. Let's run this program to see if it's going to let us do anything. Okay, good. It keeps asking us now for administrator privileges. That's good. That means we've properly made changes to the local account that we are using. Okay, so that's good. Now let's just double check to make sure that this is all properly set up like it should be. And the way you would do that is you go to manage settings. So we're going to right click on that on the start button here. We're going to go to manage computer management here. And then we're going to go to local users and groups. Remember, we are users in this case, so we're going to click on users. And here's Big Power. And here is Cobbleman. This is the one we're logging in right now. If we double click on it, we can see what type of profile it is. And it says members of, which is users, which is very important because users here is a group policy, local group policy that indicates that it's a standard user. That's a standard user. And then we got remote desktop users, which is fine. Just lets us remotely connect to the computers on the same network, which is fine. That's just for local network anyways. So that's perfectly fine. This is properly changed. Now let's double check Big Power, member of administrators, right? And if you want to know where these group policies are, it's right here where it says under groups, and here it is administrators. And then you can see that the Big Power is in there. And if we go to users, we can see that Cobbleman and Big Power is in there as well. So you can see how this goes top down. That means that administrator group will override anything that's in users group. That's perfectly fine. One thing to keep in mind is that if you make these changes, and let's say I made Cobbleman just a standard account, and I've seen this issue before, sometimes users will be removed, which is a big problem, and what you would have instead is guest, and this will be a big problem where you won't even be able to see your computer login at all. You just have to know what those credentials are, so you'll have to make sure that users is enabled. Okay, now we're just going to cancel that. We're not going to make any changes. I forget, did it ask me to let's see here. Right click device manager. Okay, this is what happens whenever you try to run it without administrator privileges. Okay, that's good. We don't want to let viruses make any changes. This is just read only, which for this type of thing is fine, but you don't necessarily want read either when it comes to computer security, computer management. So this comes up without asking us any credentials, which is something I'm worried about. Administrators. Is it going to let me do it? Okay, good. So it won't let us do it. That's good. It means it's secured. That means a virus can't go in and make these changes at all. You know, it says access denied. That's exactly what we want. So one thing to keep in mind, if you have things in your documents, you know, so you have some saved in your documents, then when you're logged in, so let's say I have, I don't know, image or a document. If you have any of this stuff in here saved, like let's say it's your password for something, you know, anything that you're logged into as, you have the right to make changes to it. Obviously, you create a new account or you create a new document, and it's your document. You're able to make changes to it. The only thing that the way we set up, the way we change it to standard user is that prevents viruses from making changes to the system. So if you have anything saved in here locally on your current standard user, you might want to have a backup of it or secure it some other way. Put a password protection on it and whatnot. But generally speaking, you don't really need to install any antivirus software. You just have to make sure that you're logged in as a standard user, and that should cover you. You know, the main reason Windows systems get more viruses is because by default, you get that administrator account. You're logged in as administrator account. And in Linux, Mac OS, you will be, you will have standard accounts. You will not have what they call root access, meaning access to the system, unless you have administrator login and password. So that's the main reason why Windows operating systems get hijacked, hacked, infected with viruses. I hope you guys find this video helpful. And hey, if you do, thank you so much for leaving a like. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I hope you have a wonderful day.